You know what? We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the fuck they're doing. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. You understand that?
You understand that?
They don't know what the fuck they're doing. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. You understand that?
You understand that?
They violated it, but Israel violated it too. Israel, as soon as we made the deal, they came out and they dropped a load of bombs like I've never seen before. I'm not happy with Israel. You know, when they say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. The biggest load that we've seen. You know what? We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the fuck they're doing. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. You understand that?
You understand that?
They don't know what the fuck they're doing. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. You understand that?
You understand that?
So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning because the one rocket that didn't land, that was shot, perhaps by mistake, it didn't land. I'm not happy about that. You understand that?
Raise your voice!
You know what? We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the fuck they're doing. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. You understand that?
You understand that?
They don't know what the fuck they're doing. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. You understand that?
You understand that?
Just remember, too, the Iranians literally throw gay people off of buildings. They don't adhere to basic human rights.
Listen, here's the thing. Let's not do that.
Because if we start with that,
You went full retard, man.
We have been known in this country to tie gay folks to the car.
This is Pride. It's a parade. It's a statement.
Regime is
Listen,
2 days,
I'm sorry.
2025
They
is nothing
used to
compared to
just
United
keep
States.
hanging black people. So
It is not even the same. I couldn't step
Oh, no.
during this.
Wait. That's not what you mean to say. It is the same.
No, it's not. The year 2025 in the United States is nothing like if I step foot wearing this outfit in Toronto.
killed for I'm sorry.
Well, they wear like
listen,
no, I can't have my hair showing. I can't wear a skirt. I can't have my
Understood.
arms out.
I'm telling you, as
I literally said it was up to the Iranian people.
Yes,
it is up to them.
and that's why I am saying that it is the same. Murdering someone for their difference is not good, whoever does it. It's not good.
What the fuck is this world? What have they done to us? What did they do to us?
So that's why I said you weren't saying what I heard was not what you meant.
I think it's very different to live in the United States in 2025 than it is to live in Iran.
Not if you're black.
not for everybody.
Not if you're black.
Nobody wants to diminish the very real problems we have in this country. That is no one's intent.
Good.
But I think it's important we remember there are places much darker than this country and people who deserve rights.
Not everybody feels that way. Not everybody feels that way. Listen, I'm sorry. You know, when you think about the fact that we got the vote in 1965.
Okay, they don't have free and fair elections in Iran. It's not even the same universe.
They can't go out of their house. The women.
You know what? There's no way I can make you understand.
You're very retarded.
Hey, what's up, strangers? It's been a while. I miss you all. Hey, I miss everything. I miss you guys. I miss you guys. I went back to work and now I'm super duper busy all the time and my brain hurts. I'm still adjusting. What's up, everybody? What's up, Rich Cotton? A lot of stuff happened and I was super busy at work. I couldn't make anything, but I don't even know what's going to be in this video. I think I'm going to show some of the B2 Spirit bunker buster capabilities. I think we're going to talk about Iran and Qatar and all of that stuff that happened at the base. Trump's big, beautiful strike on Iran. I don't know. We're going to talk about some things. You saw that Whoopi Goldberg stuff where she's crying about how being black in America is even worse than being, a gay thrown from the top of a building and around. Or, a woman that her hair fell out of her hijab, on the street, and the morality police grab her and she argues with them, so they beat her to death in the street. All of which easier to deal with than being a millionaire talk show host that's wrong about everything. You understand? You understand? Okay. All right, guys. thanks for bearing with me. Thanks for being here. Thanks for sticking around while I adjust to going back to work and taking a high demanding job that I wasn't going to take, but I took it anyway and whatever. And it's kicking my teeth in, of course. But I'll get used to it. It's all good. We'll go back to normal. But man, we gotta take a look, man. So let's get into it. No more gum bumping. Let's just take a look. Let's just get into it and see. You guys know what happened. If you got eyeballs and ear holes, you know what's going on. Let's check it out.
The U.S. launched around 125 aircraft to strike Iran's three main nuclear sites: Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan. Operation Midnight Hammer by the B-2 Spirit is a masterclass in the art of war. The U.S. sent two groups of B-2 Spirit in opposite directions. One is a decoy that flew toward U.S. outposts in the Indian Ocean, while the main strike package appeared to head east toward Iran. All of this to strike the heavily fortified Fordo nuclear enrichment bunker. This facility is buried deep beneath a thick layer of rock, with its main chamber located approximately 200 meters from the tunnel entrance. The surrounding terrain begins with a gentle slope but becomes steep about 160 meters from the ridge, offering strong natural protection from aerial attacks. Just before the B-2s reached their target, a U.S. nuclear submarine launched a dozen cruise missiles aimed at various nuclear sites in Isfahan. In the early hours of June 21, 2025, a large formation of B-2 bombers lifted off from Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri under tight secrecy. What followed was a complex play of deception and the art of war. Immediately after takeoff, the strike package split into two separate groups. One group, serving as a decoy, flew westward over the Pacific, heading toward well-known U.S. outposts like Anderson Air Force Base in Guam or possibly Diego Garcia in the Indian Ocean. Meanwhile, the main attack group, consisting of 7 B-2 bombers armed with Massive Ordinance Penetrator MOP bunker-busting bombs, flew eastward toward Iran. This move was designed to confuse the global flight trackers, news outlets, and even Iranian intelligence, drawing attention away from the real strike. Their mission: to strike Iran's most fortified nuclear sites at Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan. The main force embarked on a grueling 18-hour mission, part of a nearly 37-hour round-trip journey spanning thousands of miles. To keep them airborne, the operation relied on a series of precisely timed mid-air refueling by KC-135 Stratotankers. These refueling missions, conducted in international airspace, were critical to the success of the operation. Just a small comparison, this aircraft fuel reserve can fill up 2,000 SUV truck. All this considering it can carry 20,000 gallons or 75,000 liters of fuel. Moving further back, there is another section of the fuel tank. These fuel tanks were specifically designed to penetrate deep into Russian territory, about 6,900 miles, which is around 11,000 kilometers. Furthermore, it can travel double that distance deep into enemy lines while avoiding radar detection, thanks to this rotary air refueling system that extends all the way out, as shown here. This maximizes its range to 12,000 miles with the Boeing KC-135 Stratotanker and allows it to remain airborne for 44 hours. That is almost 2 days in the air, which is a remarkable engineering feat. The bombers cross into the Middle East via routes over Lebanon, Syria, and Iraq, though it remains unclear whether these nations have been notified. As the B-2s approached Iranian airspace, the mission entered its most critical phase. U.S. forces unleashed a range of electronic warfare tactics and decoys. Across the Arabian Sea, F/A-18 Super Hornets and EA-18G Growler launched from the decks of U.S. carriers, their roles already defined. Some will clear a path through Iran's air defenses, while others will guard the tankers that keep the entire operation airborne. The KC-135 Stratotankers, laden with fuel, loiter in friendly airspace over Saudi Arabia, but crews aware that their unglamorous task could mean the difference between triumph and catastrophe. As the B-2s lift off, their jagged silhouettes blend into the night sky. Stealth is their shield, but distance is their enemy. Hours into the flight, they rendezvous with tankers flying over the canal, gulping fuel midair as F/A-18s circle protectively. The Growlers emit a cacophony of electronic noise, masking the strike group's movements. Meanwhile, in underground command centers, U.S. analysts watch real-time feeds, ready to redirect forces if Iran's radars flicker to light.
Okay, so even if you don't like Trump, You don't like the situation. You don't like striking countries. You don't like war. You don't like any of this stuff, which why would you? Of course, this is just bonkers. Okay. You have to just separate the geopolitical stances of everyone, all of the different implications and accusations and everything that happens. And you just have to just fall to your knees and give some flowers to the military and just go, my goodness. Look, they executed a plan that's been in the works for 15 to 20 years. A group of people have been watching these facilities for at least 15 years, every day, watching them every single day, seeing where they put ventilation shafts, seeing how they build them, see what they do, watching every little step that these places make so we can make a strike if and when it ever needed to happen. Now, forget about Israel, our colony in the Middle East, or where their colony in the West. Whatever it is, it is. And whoever you are, and you're listening. And here we are. We're all here together. It is what it is. All I'm saying is, wow. Wow. Okay, let's check out the bomb and learn a little bit about the bomb. Links in the description for AI Telly. These videos are amazing. I'm just editing them, chopping them up. And if you've never seen these videos before, I thought they were very well done. So links in the description if you want to check them out. Let's move on to the bomb. It's just unbelievable. This is just wow. Just forget about everything and just wow.
There are different bunker buster bombs of different caliber, but what sets it apart from the rest is this GBU-57, which is typically delivered by the B-2 Spirit stealth bomber. Due to the bomb's large size and weight, the aircraft can carry only 2 of these weapons in its bomb bay compartments. While it lacks thrusters, the weapon is equipped with 4 active lattice fins and a precision guidance system that enables it to glide accurately to its target using military-grade GPS. Constructed from a specially designed high-performance steel alloy, using its weight when falling under gravity to penetrate or dig itself up to 200 feet of underground soil or concrete. The US comes in and dropped around 12 GBU-57 on these sites. As you can see, it can punch around 200 feet underground, which is around a 20-story tall building. This means it can penetrate Fordo nuclear site. Required for deep penetration. This heavy, compact design enables it to break through over 200 feet of reinforced concrete, destroying Fordo nuclear enrichment facility. Let's take a look at how this works. Step 1. The bomb deployment platform. As previously mentioned, a B-2 stealth bomber flies at a very high altitude. When the aircraft reaches the designated location and the conditions are optimal, it releases the weapon. The bomb is designed for precision, and the deployment height plays a crucial role in its trajectory and effectiveness. Then step 2 comes the targeting precision. The bomb is outfitted with advanced guidance technology, including GPS and inertial navigation systems, which are military-grade satellites. Then comes step 3, that is adjusting the trajectory. The guidance information and data is then transmitted to the bomb's 4 lattice motors fins located at the rear. These fins can move and adjust in real time, allowing the bomb to correct its course as it descends under the force of gravity. These adjustments are essential because the weapon does not have thrusters to change its trajectory. Instead, it relies on the movement of these fins and a high-altitude drop to control its flight path. This is why the bomb must be deployed from a very high altitude so it has enough time and distance to adjust its trajectory accurately. Here comes the most difficult part, that is step 4. Impact and penetration. The bomb, known as the Massive Ordinance Penetrator, weighs approximately 30,000 pounds, which is around 14,000 kilograms. When it reaches its target, it strikes with immense force, designed to penetrate deep into hardened structures, such as bunkers. The energy upon impact allows the bomb to bury itself over 200 feet into reinforced concrete, ensuring it delivers its payload precisely where it is intended for maximum effect. Finally, step 5 involves the tricky part of arming the weapon. It was installed with 2 SDB fuses. Double fuses are required as a backup. The first is for G-sensing and the second is the time delay fuse. Why the redesign was necessary, it was to ensure that the bomb could strike facilities buried beneath significant layers of hardened material. For this reason, the fuses are placed at the rear of the bomb to prevent them from being damaged. Once the time delay or the G-sensing fuse reaches its destination, it can blow up, creating a mini earthquake that can bury bunkers and 20-story buildings inside them. For this site, the U.S. Navy submarines launched 30 cruise and land attack missiles targeting this nuclear facilities, which didn't require deep penetration. When ready to launch, it will open of the hatch and the protective seal will break open. High-pressure air is pumped into the tube, and these are used to eject the cruise missile. The tip of the missile breaks the water's surface. The rocket boosters fire and propel the missile into its path. Boosters fall off as soon as the missile is out of the water. The main engine of the cruise missile will engage, and then it will automatically open its wing, just like the animation shown here.
I mean, look at this thing in action. I don't know. They're already working on a next generation bunker buster, but this MOP already is cleaning up. I guess that's why they did that. Aren't they slick? I don't know. You think they could get this all the way inside of a mountain? I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm not sure that they've ever tried. I don't know how many times we've really used this in combat. I guess I could have Googled it. I believe we may have used it previously. I know we've used other bunker busters. The last time we used B-2 Spirit stealth bombers was back during the Afghanistan war after 9/11. But the next generation is probably going to be even more ridiculous. Even seeing these images, it's just crazy. But now that you know a little bit more about it, we're going to move on to a little bit more details of the B-2 Spirit stealth bomber. And in the end, we're going to take a look at the strike on Fordo, because Fordo received, out of the 14 the 14 bunker busters we dropped, 12 of them hit Fordo. 2 of them went to Natanz, and all the 20 tomahawks hit, whatever it was, couple dozen tomahawks hit Esfahan. So let's move on to the goofiest looking plane ever and see what that's all about.
Let's look at how the B-2 Spirit avoid radar. Unlike normal planes that use rudders and elevators to steer, the B-2 has no vertical stabilizers. This is because any vertical structure would reflect radar waves, which is why they had to design it without vertical stabilizer or rudder at the rear. Instead, they use this technique of split drag rudders to provide directional stability and control in a flying wing aircraft. But there is a catch. As opposed to conventional rudders, the control efficiency of split drag rudders is typically low for small deflection angles. That is why the B-2 Spirit turns very slowly compared to other military planes. Each split rudder consists of 2 separate panels that swing out vertically in opposite directions. When the left split rudder opens, it produces drag and causes the B-2 Spirit to yaw to the left in the direction of the open split rudder. The same effect occurs with the opposing right side split rudder. This is what happens inside the cockpit. When the pilot pushes the left rudder pedal, the left split rudder opens, causing the aircraft to yaw to the left. Similarly, when the pilot pushes the right rudder pedal, the right split rudder opens, causing the aircraft to yaw to the right. The B-2 Spirit composite can be divided into several parts. Here, we find that all the edges are made of fiberglass epoxy to reflect radar, while the largest part of the wing is primarily made of graphite epoxy. Interestingly, the crew station assembly is made up of aluminum. At the base, since these areas have to withstand a lot of heat from the engine, they are made of titanium, a super strong, expensive material. Finally, we have fiberglass polyamide, a stealthy material able to withstand heat. This is what it looks like with all the labeling and segments assigned to it to give you a better picture. Let's take a look at the $1 billion radar paint technology, which is still classified, but here's what we know from aviation experts. It involves the use of radar-absorbing material, also called RAM. RAM is a polymer-based material applied to the surface of stealth military aircraft, like the F-22 Raptor and F-35 Lightning II. Moving to the belly of the beast and opening the bomb bay door is this weapon adapter suspension, which makes this bomber formidable. While the B-2 Spirit might look small, it can fit around 80 numbers of Mark 82 bombs weighing 500 pounds. Yes, all these 80 weapons can fit inside this weapon adapter, totaling around 40,000 pounds, which is approximately 18,000 kilograms of free-fall gravity weapon system. Depending on the mission, the B-2 Spirit can switch to this rotary weapons system, enabling it to carry around 16 numbers of AGM-158 missiles, which can cost around $1.5 million each. When ready, a B-2 Spirit can drop this weapon payload discreetly. The AGM missiles unfold their wings to fly towards the target, traveling up to 230 miles, which is around 370 kilometers.
I'm not sure that we've ever used those weapons that they were saying it has. I've never seen any video of that at all. Never really looked for it either. But at the same time, these things really don't get out there in the battles. Really, they seem to only be used. They're like assassins. They're like, middle of the night. Just surgical strike type of surgical. I don't know. It really is interesting. So forget all the stuff about Israel, forget all the nonsense. If you hate Trump, whatever it is, these are some amazing humans. This is just an incredible feat, and I just think they deserve respect. They deserve the media to not try to tear them down and minimize what happened and minimize what it looks like to be something that was very successful. When you really look at it, if you really analyze the after pictures and take a look at what this thing is capable of, it makes sense that the word obliterated could be pretty accurate, but I guess we'll wait and see what happens. So this is the attack on Fordo. Let's take a look at that. That's the one that's the most important. I may make a follow-up video to this just so this one doesn't go on too long because I have more information on Fordo. But at the same time, it is just a couple dozen cruise missiles from submarines that destroyed Esfahan. Then they used 2 MOPs on Natanz, and 12 were dropped on Fordo because Fordo was the most dangerous one. It was the biggest one that they had. It was under the mountain. And the other one, I guess they had a little bit of better idea with the ventilation system and that kind of thing at Esfahan. They hit the 3 main entries with 2 MOPs each, and then on top of the mountain, they just drilled straight into the mountain 4 MOPs on each side of the ridge where they thought deep down inside was the main facility at Fordo. It's just I don't know, it's very interesting. So 3 entries were completely destroyed from what they think and what they know from their intelligence. I've seen video of inside of those tunnels. They're very big, they're very concrete, they're very strange. But let's move on. Let's see a little cartoon of it, and that'll make you feel better.
This is the Fordo nuclear facility, one of the most heavily fortified and deeply buried sites in Iran's nuclear program. But what exactly makes it so difficult to destroy? Fordo is protected by a complex network of defenses, including 6 tunnel entrances leading into its underground uranium enrichment facility. The most critical parts of the site, specifically the enrichment infrastructure, are buried deep inside a tunnel approximately 200 meters long, carved directly into the side of a mountain. The main enrichment chamber is believed to sit directly beneath the mountain ridgeline, hidden under a massive layer of rock. From the tunnel entrance to the chamber, the distance spans roughly 200 meters. The terrain itself adds another layer of defense. It starts off with a gentle slope near the tunnel entrances, but becomes significantly steeper about 160 meters from the ridge, providing natural protection from overhead strikes. And here's where it becomes even more challenging. If the enrichment chamber sits at the same elevation as the tunnel entrances, it's shielded by approximately 40 meters of solid rock when approached from narrow vertical angles, around 25 degrees. A bomb dropped directly from above or even at a 40-degree off-axis angle, as would be typical for a high-altitude strike from a subsonic B-2 bomber, would need to break through up to 40 meters of dense mountain rock to reach its target. To overcome this, the U.S. deployed 6 B-2 Spirit bombers, each armed with GBU-57 Massive Ordinance Penetrators, deep penetrating bunker buster bombs designed for hardened targets like Fordo. These strikes targeted the mountain ridge directly above the tunnel network and underground enrichment halls, aiming to penetrate the fortified layers and disrupt Iran's nuclear operations. The B-2s also targeted at least 6 of the known tunnel entrances leading into the facility. Post-strike satellite imagery, along with assessments from weapons experts, confirmed that at least 3 of the 4 main entrances sustained significant damage. Large craters were visible near these access points, indicating a direct hit and probable disruption to the facility's internal infrastructure. Roughly an hour before the B-2s crossed into Iranian airspace, a U.S. Navy submarine launched over 30 cruise missiles targeting the Isfahan nuclear site. A simultaneous attack from sea and air created chaos and stretched Iranian defenses thin, adding another layer of confusion to an already overwhelming assault. At around 6:40 p.m. Eastern Time, 2:10 a.m. in Iran, the lead B-2 bomber released 2 massive ordnance penetrators over the Fordo nuclear facility. Over the next 25 minutes, 14 MOP bombs were dropped across Fordo and Natanz, tearing into the reinforced underground complexes. Almost simultaneously, the cruise missiles struck Isfahan with devastating precision. With their mission complete, the B-2s turned back and exited Iranian airspace just as silently as they had arrived.
So check out his video, link in the description. We're also going to move on to a Cappy Army video if you've never seen them before. Same thing, all the sourcing will be down in the description for anything that you see in this video. I got to try to button this up so it doesn't take too long. The new job is committing assault and battery on my vocal cords, my sinus cavities, my ears, my eyes, my throat, everything. So I'm losing my voice talking. I can't breathe. My nose is packed because the chemicals and everything just absolutely destroy me. So we're going to button this up. We're going to move on to that Cappy Arm video to see a little bit more about the damage assessment that's going on, especially with the media trying to get an anonymous leak that from the initial damage from the first like 48 hours or whatever it was, that was like, oh, it could be minimal damage all the way to completely severe obliterated. So they, of course, they ran with it to make Trump look bad because they're obsessed weirdos. So let's just see Cappy Army talk a little bit about it and just show his assessment of it with all the intelligence that he has.
Joseph Rogers at the Center for Strategic and International Studies, Project on Nuclear Issues, said the reason that you'd want to target a ventilation shaft is that it's a more direct route to the core components of the underground facility. Take a look at this satellite image. Now look at the blowout pattern from the explosion that tells us a ton. See how the discoloration of the soil extends from the crater. Translation, the soil is disturbed up to 200 meters away from the central impact. What that tells us is the subterranean shockwave traveled at least 200 meters through the facility. I feel sorry for the guy that got his degree in geology, not expecting to become a Fed doing battle damage assessment for the Pentagon. Jerry Lewis at the Middlebury Institute James Martin Center for Non-Proliferation Studies spoke to Wired magazine and said, quote, "They're probably not trying to get all the way into the facility. They're probably just trying to get close enough to it and crush it with a shockwave. If you send a big enough shockwave through the facility, it's going to kill people, break stuff, damage the integrity of it." Why does this picture look not safe for work? I should call her. But it doesn't tell us if it went deep enough to penetrate the enrichment center. To analyze that, we'll have to look elsewhere. Take a look at this before and after photo of more of the bunker buster impacts, and it tells us something interesting. The disturbed terrain here looks like white bluish gray soil, which is an indicator that pressure from collapsed tunnels sent debris flying out of the vents and tunnels. Because when an underground void collapses, the pressure vents out debris. Like how when you break glass of a window from the outside and there's evidence of glass on the inside, you know, like in every Forensic Files episode ever, we note a deep sinkhole is visible also on the eastern side, and this is what we would expect to see when the blast cavity of a slumped tunnel occurs. The answer of whether these bombs work or not is extremely important. It'll have profound consequences for the future of US power and the current strategy for warfare. Because North Korea and China have invested heavily, spent billions of dollars and years of effort into a strategy designed almost entirely around digging deep underground to avoid these kind of bombs that only America is capable of delivering. Whether these bombs worked or not sends a very different message to our adversaries. If the damage was extensive, it demonstrates mountain bunkers in North Korea and China aren't immune from US air power, and it'll be a strong deterrent. However, if the damage from these bunker busters was lackluster, like a 2 out of 10 weak sauce, then it could have the exact opposite effect, which is why I think it's so important that we analyze this battle damage. The cat is now officially out of the bag one way or another, so let's hope that they worked. There were likely only around 50 of these GBU-57s ever produced for the entire US Air Force arsenal. That's all public knowledge that they've revealed based on production contracts. Jerry Lewis said, quote, "The US military relies on basically a computer model which tells them how much pressure it could take before it would severely damage everything inside and maybe even collapse the facility. The US didn't need bombs capable of penetrating the full 260 feet to cause substantial damage. The bunker busters were tested against reinforced concrete that's resistant to 5,000 psi. However, Iran used a more resistant type that can withstand 15,000 psi. What we don't see here in these images, though, tells us just as much as what we do see. Absent is any Iranian air defense assets, which were already destroyed by the Israeli and US airstrikes. But can we really draw any conclusion of how effective Russian air defense equipment is against American stealth fighters? Maybe, maybe not. We're talking about export versions of a lot of this equipment, and we're talking about an entirely different military using it. I mean, Ukraine has effectively used Russian-produced S-300 air defense. It's just tough for us to say a lot about that. Absent is any large-scale recovery or repair effort. I can see there is some activity on the road with vehicles there, which means Iran's agents are already on the ground assessing the damage. But my absolute favorite way to get open source intelligence isn't from satellite images, it's from people with cell phones on the ground and people gabbing. The Iranians on the ground looking at the results of the bombings will inevitably communicate with their leadership the extent of the damage, and those communications will eventually be intercepted by signals, intelligence, intercepting radio transmissions, or by human intelligence. American CIA spies will channel that information back to US officials.
You know, who knows if those open source images were real or not. Fordo, that one that said Fordo is gone. I didn't write that. That's, you know, whoever made that video, whoever uploaded it, looked like some sort of news media from Iran. It's just really, it's just, I don't know. Who knows? There's no way to know. So I don't know. I'll button it up right here. If there's anything else, I got some more information on the strike and the media aftermath and everyone just being absolute idiots. It's fantastic. I hope you're all fantastic. I hope this video finds you well. I can't talk. I can't breathe. Everyone go fuck yourselves. I love you all. Goodbye.
Fuck yeah! One more! Fuck yeah!